When Taylor Swift is the teacher, history is rife with gay context, and the origin of the color midnight blue is definitively gay. While this may be about the Rebecca Harkness of it all, we also know that she purposefully uses jarring language, like saying purple is blue, to prompt further investigation. Midnight blue was popularized by former English king and too soft for it all Cancer, Edward VIII, Duke of Windsor, aka the older brother from the film The King's Speech, who abdicated the throne for double divorcee and Gemini Wallace Simpson, and yes, they both had gay rumors. During the interwar era, Edward suggested that midnight blue fabric would capture the light more than black, thereby showing sartorial details better when printed in the press, which is to say that the history of midnight blue is rooted in color gaslighting. Edward's color insight transformed the suit popularized by his grandfather, Scorpio Edward VII, into what we now know today as a staple of queer fashion, tuxedos, named for the Tuxedo Park Club in New York City. Midnight blue became so immortalized as a classy color alternative to black suits that James Bond has worn a midnight blue tux since his film debut in 1962. During this time, French fashion designer and Leo, Yves Saint Laurent, Le Smoking Tuxedo, debuted as the first suit tailored specifically for women to garner widespread attention. 1960, a decade before his death, was also when Edward wrote a book, a family album, about his family's long legacy over the influence of fashion. Most historians know Edward as being bisexual and taking part in parties of the sort in Hollywood during the time that Marlene Dietrich was hosting sewing circles wearing tuxes of her own. In France, Marlene and Cecil Beaton, who photographed the couple, were frequently their guests of honor, along with other big stars like Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton, and Aristotle Onassis and Maria Callas. In 1934, when he'd just become king, a 78 record was released that included the song "The King's a Queen at Heart" with these lyrics.
His troops are a blazon of colour as they parade in the castle courtyards. From the swish of their stride, he has named them with pride the king's own homosexual guards, to suggest that the Spanish is more apropos than the Manish. On a new conquest gives him a start, but he'll be gay till the end, till he's too old to bend, for the king's just a queen at heart.
While his family's reign began in England during the Great War, Edward spent the last bulk of his life in Paris with Wallace. They unfortunately relied on the shield of Hitler when they feared assassination orders from his family, and were subsequently exiled to the Bahamas, to which he only agreed by having soldiers join as his personal attendants. Edward's brother George, his lover, English playwright and Sagittarian Noel Coward, once told openly gay American writer and Libra Truman Capote that the Duke, however well he pretends not to hate me, he does though, because I'm queer and he's queer, but unlike him, I don't pretend not to be. In 2011, Madonna directed a film W.E. about the Windsors. Royal author Christopher Wilson wrote of their dalliances with Jimmy Donahue, the grandson of F.W. Wilworth, in the book Dancing with the Devil. Wallace summed up her life in a sentence: "You have no idea how hard it is to live out a great romance." In 1972, Edward died and willed 3 photo albums to his gardener, Henri Gay, who revealed them 43 years later in 2015. In the most prominent photo archived, Edward is dressed in his Order of the Garter robes as he poses in the sunny garden of his French country house with a blue ribbon, rather than a garter, around his calf. A blue ribbon gay is a term for a gay man who was with a woman before he came out. Henri said he had a close working relationship with Edward and that they shared a passion for gardening and nature that cut across the differences in our social backgrounds. Furthermore, and probably more significantly though, is this 1975 song, Midnight Blue, by Aquarius singer Melissa Manchester, who is close friends with lesbian Libra Marcia Malamut of the 1969 album Coney Island Winter.